Hmm. Okay. This is lesson number 326, a work of A Course in Miracles. I am forever an effect of God. Okay, when I read this lesson, and let me see if I can say this in a way that's not offensive to people. Okay, the thing that I've come to know is this. In order to have the experiences that allow you to come to know who you are, that allow you to heal your mind of the fear and the guilt that has kept us from recognizing the truth of who we are in creation, as God's Son, as forever an effect of God, necessitates that we allow ourselves to accept that we are forever an effect of God and not God. I know, and I don't know. See, when I look into my mind, when I look into my own heart and mind and my own experience, okay, I know for a fact that I have had an experience of the oneness of the Father and the oneness of the Son being revealed to me. Okay. I know that I have had several, if not many, revelatory experiences. Okay. There's never been one wherein which I thought I was God. Okay. I understand that I don't know how to say this, in the unity of our creative reality as the living Son of God, beyond concepts. The oneness that is experienced is not distinguishable, in a sense. I don't know how to say it. There's not a distinctive, I don't know how to say it because I use some words there. The personality of the person that we are, or what we are, let's say, is not distinct from the totality of creative reality. It is just not alone the totality of that reality, whereas God is that. Okay? There are many lessons I choose to second place to gain the first that necessitate a stepping back to allow the greater to be caught up to in your mind, because we're so busy trying to lead our own way, thinking that there's something that we're supposed to do to prove something to someone. But that's just the ego attempting to prove to you its reality and distract you from the stepping back and the allowance for everything to catch up with you to see who you are in the totality of it all. Okay, I don't know if that makes any sense. Father, I was created in your mind. Okay, that's true. I don't know the nature of the revelatory experiences that many of you had had. I can say this about mine. In the experience, there is a certainty of being created whole and perfect, eternal and infinite. Now, those words are not in there, but those words apply to the experience, whether I'm in it or not. Okay, let's put it that way. Okay. I don't know how I don't know how it happened. I mean, I can tell you what was going on when it happened, but I can't tell you how these things get shown to me in the way in which they do in the experience, and however this works, the vision is allowed to stay with me in this abstract way that I can call on. But each and every one of you, when you allow yourself, for whatever the reason, whatever the trigger is that you necessitate within your own human experience, to allow you to be triggered enough not to resist the eternal attraction and pull of reality. Okay, I don't know what that is. For me, it was one thing. It was desperation. It was drug addiction. It was whatever it was. Now, I know in the sense that when that moment comes for you, your mind will be positioned in such a way so as you will have the experience as well. But I don't know what you need in your particular sojourn to have that moment triggered in you. It definitely will be one of surrendering for some reason beyond your control, because you have no control over it, you know not what to do. Now, in that moment that allowed me restored, and you cannot do this alone, you will obviously join with something to allow you to do that, because separation is the nature of the condition of space and time. It is not the condition of reality where you're joined with all your brothers. Conceptually or not, I don't really care. Okay. In the moment when you experience your own creation in reality, you will see that you are a thought in God's mind, and you are not the mind of God thinking, yet the creation of you is you're created with the totality of the reality of the Father. So therefore you can create like him, you just can't create him. Now conceptually none of this means anything. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to say this definitively. If you want to think you are God, the arrogance of that thinking will never allow you to have the experience of forgiveness and reality that end the fear and the guilt that come with the arrogance of your need to make that proclamation. Okay, that's all I can say. Now, beyond this world, when we are all in reality, the discussion about who's God and who's not God does not occur. Yet it is but it is the discussion here. And the willingness to entertain the idea that you may be God that will thwart your ability to undergo the transformation and integration that is necessary in order for you to begin to, what does this say? Where is this? Behold earth disappear, at first transformed, and then forgiven, fade entirely into God's holy will. As you created me, I have remained. As God created me, I have remained. Okay, so there's no way in the world you could create yourself. And if you cannot create yourself, then you cannot, in a sense, have been God. That's all it's to it. Indistinguishable, true, yet in the triune nature of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, in the triune nature of God, each particular part is whole and perfect unto itself, as well as having the totality of wholeness and perfect of creation as part of who they are. I'm laughing because there was a point in time when I was, you want to know, you want to understand. Now it's always the ego that asks questions, and the ego always poses questions based on the limitations, or how should I say this? Based on the limitations it both wants to establish and maintain. as the confines of your thinking. Okay. So the ego is going to ask questions. As you have created me, I have remained. Where you established me, I still abide. And all your attributes abide in me, because it is your will to have a son so like his cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. Okay? If I have remained as God created me, then I could never have created God. That is, in a sense, the humility. And the wanting to know, because I wanted to know. You know, when you want to know, you want to know. There's no amount of concepts that are going to solve your problem. Yet in the desire to know and the unwillingness to impose upon yourself a conceptual human answer, okay, there is a way in which your mind can be opened up and you can be shown and know for sure and be certain in that showing. At one point in time, and I never know how this stuff happens, but it does happen through the third eye, which is, you know, we go back to the beginning. Man closed his own spiritual eye to light, and it's necessary that by his own decision, he open it back up to light, because in light all can be seen. And what you will see in light is everything that you free yourself from not seeing, based on the limitations of fear and guilt that you want to maintain. At some point in time, the maintenance of any fear and guilt becomes ridiculous. I do know that it becomes institutionalized in religions. Otherwise, you wouldn't need the religion, of course. So there's a way in which you can become certain, but you cannot become certain based on your own concepts or the concepts of someone else, not mine or yours. The release of the concept. But I at least want to validate my certainty of who you are in reality and give you in a sense, I don't know how to say this, the security, give you this sense of the security. I want to share with you my certainty and security that has come from the experiences I have had based on my following the guidance and listening to the voice, which has led me back to creation. Creation, I'm certain of, this is where all the questions are. Here in space and time, the more questions that we entertain, the seemingly longer it takes to come up with answers, because each answer is merely a fragmentation at a conceptual level. So it's always the freeing yourself from not from the questioning, but from the limitations that the ego wants the answer to remain within, so as that you accept the ego answer rather than the answer from your divinity, from your own reality. And when you begin to get answers from your own reality, and I understand, I do understand why people who have had experiences think that they are God. I also understand that without their willingness to utilize forgiveness on their own thinking, they can't get any further. And they can attempt to sit in the transcendental nature of the experience that they had and utilize the light of the past as a way to be now. But eventually that'll get frustrating and lead them into a depression. Because the integration takes place. All your questions, you have to be satisfied. Yeah, stay there. You won't freely leave, and it is God's will. It's God's will that you freely choose to leave behind the illusion of space and time, and seek ye first the kingdom. It is not his will for the destruction of anything, even your dream of separation. Now, God is eternal, whole, perfect, and infinite. There's no temporal nature within him. So he's not waiting either patiently or impatiently. He still is as you are now. The patience comes in not being willing to accept temporal answers and not settling for anything of time, but allowing your mind to spring beyond space and time into an experience that, when compared in a sense to the one you have as a human, you know is unreal, is an illusion. And in that sense, and we talk about, like, what Jesus talks about in A Course in Miracles, for they have come. What difference is time when time isn't real? And the understanding of the non-reality of time is in your present memory. And the outcome is certain because you've experienced yourself as being saved and as coming for the salvation of the world, which is assured in God. Okay, and all I know is that I'm going to end with this the way I started. Lesson 326, I am forever an effect of God. I choose the second place to gain the first. Please, whatever happens after this, what's beyond space and time, there's no one anyone here, even myself, who can really tell you, because we don't get to stay there. Because I don't, in a sense, the glimpses that we get and the postulations that we make, the glimpses that we get are true. The postulations that we make may be valid, but they're not true because none of our concepts are real. Okay? I'm telling you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that in order to have your mind and heart healed, in a way in which allows us to behold the earth disappear, at first transformed and then forgiven entirely, is through forgiveness. Okay? Forgiveness necessitates we take the second place to gain the first. The forgiveness necessitates that we step back to allow something to dawn on us that is not of us. It's an escape from our littleness into the magnitude, but the magnitude is always of God, who created you as an effect to share that magnitude with. And in the awe of the experience is the joy of God sharing. And if you are God, God has no one to share with, nor would you. And that's Jesus's attempt, that it's in the Course, to show you how, if you think that way, creation does not extend. My assurance to you is creation does extend, because while you are indistinguishable, in a sense, to God, God only gives to you, you receive and give as God has given, and extend creation, because you are not God and you are God sharing. This is the way I used to try to say it. You are not God, but you are not God creating. In other words, you are God creating, but you're not God. You're God creating. And God created. You are God creating. The action of God's mind in the extension of who he is what your creation is.